Design classrooms are very similar to that of our colleagues in science and engineering classrooms, and that creative thinking is guided by the creative design process. And we're going to talk about that in this video. Question, research, hypothesis, procedure, data, conclusion equals scientific method. Problem, research, brainstorm, prototype, test, refine equals engineering and invention. Processes, in my humble opinion, neutralize the classroom. What do you mean, Crystal? Each student gets out of it what they're willing to put into it. Because our classes are usually elective courses, we get to work with all the learners. What I discovered in my classes is that advanced learners often struggle to break linear thought patterns to think more abstractly about ideas. Developing learners, on the other hand, have a lot of ideas, but often struggle to organize them or connect them to tell a really good story. How did I come to this realization? By funneling all my learners through the design process. There are 6 stages in the design process. And because I like alliteration, I'm going to use the grouping where every stage begins with the letter D. Define, discover, design, develop, deliver, debrief. The alternate grouping is more literal and easier understood for students at a glance, so you may find it useful to display this version in your classroom. Identify, research, sketch, digitize, refine, and deliver. Define and identify. Stage 1. The stage in which students are given the creative challenge with parameters. Design has to have parameters, boundaries, restraints. It needs the box. You can't think outside of the box without the box. In professional practice, this is when a designer meets with the client to get all of the project details, the do's and the don'ts. They get a feel for the brand, they ask questions that help guide their research, and ultimately helps bridge the communication gap between them, the sender, and the audience, the receivers. For us, it's when we assign the project with all of the requirements and the rubrics. The next phase, stage 2, discover research. Now that the student is clear on the challenge, they need to do some research about everything. This is the most important phase. This is where designers are made. This stage is crucial to the ideation phase that comes next. And you need qualitative and quantitative research with visual references. This can help your students synthesize all the information through word webbing to construct strong narratives to guide ideation through sketching. Design, sketch, and digitize. From that word web, you're going to pick 3 strong narratives and start sketching. This is free sketching. I love pen and paper, but I'm not opposed to tablet sketches either. My classroom was one-on-one iPad Pros with stylus pens, so I taught the students to use what they were comfortable using to sketch. From the sketches, they can choose their top 3 to 5 ideas to digitize using the appropriate creative software tool. Stage 4, develop, refine. Of the top 5 digitized concepts, choose the best 2 or 3 to present as viable solutions to the challenge. Students should provide summaries of their concepts in the form of short paragraphs with their concepts. Why? The reason is twofold. Creatives often send electronic files or links for clients to review independently. Providing a summary narrative offers context in which the reviewer should examine the work. The feedback becomes less about personal preference over color and font and more objective to either strengthen a weak narrative or push a strong narrative, i.e., constructive critique. The other reason has to do with ensuring each student puts their best presentation foot forward. Some students have no reservation about getting in front of their peers and talking about their concepts, while others have anxiety about it. To make sure all students develop succinct presentation skills that they're going to need in this industry, challenge them to write down their narratives for their work so they can read them aloud when they have to get in front and present. Refinement comes by way of critique. And I devote class time to one-on-one critique during sketch digitization phase to help my students enter the digitization with strong narratives. For the first round of review, I do a group Padlet so students can see each other's work and progress, and do a loose critique, meaning they just kind of vote on the designs they think are strong. And then I'd often follow up with my teacher critique of the strongest concepts and why I think they're the strongest. I'd send them back to the computer to then make the refinements. Stage 5, deliver. When I do a formal group critique, I do it on final projects only. Each student has spent enough time with the project. By then, they know the rubric and the specs of the project and a set of questions to rate the success of the student work. I use a super cool feature in Canvas LMS to do the one-on-one peer critiques, and it counts as student grade. I also ask students to submit their work as a single process file that includes the brief, their research, the ideation, the digital comps, and their final work for their final grade. I choose the top 3 from each class and post their work to the wall as the agency wins for that challenge. Finally, stage 6 is the debrief. We know reflection is integral to student learning, right? Like it's part of every lesson plan or unit plan. It's part of our own evaluations. The debrief is really about the project experience, beginning with getting the project and ending at project delivery. Where did one get stuck? What did one do really well? What does one feel comfortable enough to teach someone else? There's a how was the experience question, then a did I earn or did I really master the skill that I needed to master technically? And how confident am I in what I actually learned? So much so that I can teach someone else. I've designed several poster sets that you can check out in my Etsy store, purchase for your classroom if you think it'll help reiterate what this process is. So let's run it all back. Main takeaways from the day is creativity is the byproduct of going through the design process. Everyone can do it, which means everyone can be creative. Let me know what you think about this in the comments because I want to get really good at helping you teach future creatives.